Hi, everyone. I'm going to continue on with our notes about time of death. You should have notes already on alger mortis, rigor mortis, and liver mortis by either downloading the document that was shared on Classroom or by printing out the document and writing notes in, just as if we were in school. I'm going to start today on using stomach contents to determine time of death. I'm on the part of the notes document that has a picture of the body with the digestive system. If someone has undigested food in their stomach, then medical examiners can determine within a few hours of when they have last eaten. So, undigested food in the stomach means that that person died less than 2 hours after he or she ate, right? So, you can assume that food is going to start to be digested pretty soon after you consume it. So, this is not really a time of death as much as how many hours between when they last ate and when they died. So if there are restaurant receipts or surveillance video that shows a person having a meal, and then that shows that that food is largely undigested in the stomach, then you can assume that that person died less than 2 hours after eating. If partially digested food is found in the stomach, then medical examiners will assume 2 to 6 hours after the person ate is when they died. Their food is going to leave the small intestine after about 12 hours, and after about 24 hours, all food should have left the body. Just like all the other factors that we talked about, there are things that are going to change this timeline, like the type of food the person ate, if they have used drugs or alcohol, the age and health of the person. All right, moving on to using the eye and the potassium content of the eye in order to determine time of death. A pathologist during an autopsy will take a portion of the vitreous humor, which is in this picture, the red part, in real life, the white part, what you would call the eyeball, and figure out the potassium content of that eye. And potassium is going to build up at a fairly specific rate after death. So here is a medical examiner or pathologist, somebody performing an autopsy, removing that eye to get at the vitreous humor to take a potassium sample. And here's a chart, and I'll go back to this in a minute. Here's a chart that shows the potassium buildup. So it's very, very specific. So pathologists can tell within a few hours, based on the potassium level in the eye, when that person passed away. This is going to be for somebody who has passed away recently because eyes, just like other soft tissue, are going to start to decompose and liquefy fairly quickly. So a person who has an intact eye has probably been dead less than a day or two. Moving on to stages of decomposition. Once somebody passes away, or you may have seen animals on the side of the road, decomposition is going to start fairly soon. So bacteria on the body is going to start to break down the cells and the tissues. After about 2 days, lividity is going to be seen. You can see the pooling of the blood, and that lividity is permanent. Skin is going to become discolored. Autolysis is going to start, the breakdown of cells. So not only are bacteria breaking down the tissues, but cells themselves are self-digesting. After about 4 days, the skin will start to blister. The cavities will start to swell due to the buildup of carbon dioxide. So bacteria that are eating away at the soft tissues produce carbon dioxide as a byproduct, and that carbon dioxide is going to build up. After a while, those cavities generally will burst. So if you see something like this, the blistering of the skin, a very distended or bloated abdomen, that's a sign that that body has been there about 4 days. After about 6 to 10 days, the bloating will continue. The chest and abdominal cavities may burst. And when that happens, the liquefied organs will start to leak out. So you may see pools of liquid around the body. Because of that swelling and bloating, the skin is going to expand and then start to slough off. So we see this after about 6 to 10 days. The bloating continues to the point of bursting. Organs will start to liquefy. That liquid will start to leak from the body, and the sloughing off of skin. Decomposition is affected by many things. There's a list here in your notes. And this goes for people or animals, their age, size, weight, health, if they're wearing clothes or not, and then largely the environment, if it's hot or cold, if they are on land, if they're in water. All of those things are going to contribute to the rate of decomposition. Remember, decomposition is a chemical reaction, so anything that speeds up that chemical reaction will speed up decomposition. Forensic investigators use a 1-2-8 rule, and this means that the rate of decomposition on land is equal to about 2 weeks in water and equal to about 8 weeks underground. So a body that is on land will decompose in the numbers that we just said. 4 days, you'll see blistering of skin and bloating of the abdomen. 6 to 10 days, you'll see bursting of body cavities and liquefaction. So that is going to double if that body is in water. So water's going to act like a preservative, and the ground is going to act like a preservative and slow that decomposition. Being in water and underground also protects the body from animals. So animals in the woods that would normally feed on a dead person or animal obviously can't get to it if that body is underground. So that's another reason why being underground, being in water is going to preserve the body. In the next video, we'll talk about forensic entomology, which is using insects to determine the time of death.